everyone for being here at the Lucy Robbins Wells Library Board of Trustee meeting for Monday, May 8th. I just want to take a quick moment to introduce and welcome our newest board member, Pam, and is it
Canary.
Canary? I knew I would get it wrong. So Pam Canary has just joined. This is her first night. She did do a walkthrough with Karen, so she's seen the back hall, so to speak, of the library. I don't know if you want to tell people just a little bit about your background.
Yes, we moved to Newington about 2.5 years ago. So, and then I became friends with, Sandy Mathis, yeah. So she's in a book club with me. So, she talked to me about the library. I worked at the Britain Library when I was in high school and summers in college. And then I became a teacher. I taught at CCSU for a little bit before moving on to McGee Middle School in Berlin, where I taught 8th grade language arts for a number of years. And I'm retired and I miss it. I miss my kids.
And Pam and I have known each other
Really 100 years.
since we were high school, junior high, maybe even junior.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So a little bit of baptism by fire. She just sat through the race committee meeting going, oh my gosh. So, and I'd love to tell you that this one is so much more organized, but we're really not. So please, interject, ask questions, come up to any of us afterwards and ask questions if you don't feel like it's right in the flow of the moment. But
Thank you.
welcome. We're so glad to have you on our
Thank
board.
you. I'm happy to be
Thank
here.
you for your interest. Okay, I see Elizabeth, so we're doing something a little bit different. Elizabeth is remote tonight. And I will ask her to come off mute and do the roll call. I can see her.
Hi, Diane. Can you hear me okay?
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, roll call. George Bernaco,
Here.
Andy Brecker, Anna Eddy,
Anna's here, which is in the back.
She's got to go. She's taking a quick in-between meeting break.
thank you. Pauline Crook,
Here.
Iris Larson,
Not here.
Maureen O'Connor Lyons,
Here.
Maureen is
Oh, no,
here.
thank you. Chris Riley,
I don't know if he's online.
No.
No. He's
No.
out.
Neil Ryan,
Here.
Christine Shushin,
Here.
Diane Stam,
Here.
Fiona York,
Here.
Lisa Maston,
She's absent.
Karen Benner,
Here.
Sheila Rowell,
Here.
David Nagel,
Here.
and Kim Rada.
She's absent.
No? That concludes the roll.
Did you call Leanne? Mankey?
Leanne Mankey, I did.
Okay.
Oh.
Did you mark her as here?
Yeah.
Does she have Pam's name?
Yes, you have, Pam, our new member's name.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, Pamela Canary.
Canary is how she says it.
Canary, thank you.
Stay here for me.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So that is, our roll call. We'll go into public participation. Is there anybody online for public participation? Yep, okay. And I don't see anybody in the room for public participation, so we'll move on to town council liaison, Dave Nagel.
Yes, in regard to the library, council's going through, it's the budget. Presentation was made by the library and others. We are now into deliberation. And we've had public hearings before the last meeting. The town council is meeting tomorrow night where adds or cuts or whatever can be made. Discussion. That can also happen on April 16th when the final budget is set. I don't know what is going to happen one or another. I do know there was no discussion about anything in regards to the library negative. There was a serious discussion at the last meeting about the position that's been vacant for a few years and hasn't been funded and should have been funded, but I've heard nothing more about that one way or another, but it did come up in discussions with the whole council. And generally, that's it. If you have any questions about that or anything else, I can answer, I gladly will.
Okay. Anyone? No, anyone online? Remember, online folks really call out, it's hard to manage the room and the computer at the same time, because I seem to be at two different angles all the time.
Wait, what was the unfunded position?
The, one in collection management.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So it's a full-time position that kind of floats through three different areas. And, through attrition and promotions, that position
Oh,
became
yeah,
open.
okay.
And during COVID, they didn't remove the position, but they didn't fill it.
What was the job title again?
It's reference librarian, collection management, but as Diane said, there were other aspects to the job as well. Those tasks have been sort of parceled out to some part-time people. So,
And the impact of not having that person is, that means that we don't have somebody on staff to do more of, the community engagement items and stuff like that, because we're catching, as catch can with, you know, part-timers and other folks as it goes back and forth. We were thrilled when we got our teen librarian position, back in the other day. We were hoping to get this one in this year. And, didn't actually go to council, but it doesn't mean that we didn't speak about it.
And is that a librarian position?
It is, yes. Yes. Any other questions for town council? No? I'll just make one more comment, and that was that, Lisa and I were both at the, meeting Saturday morning. And, they graciously, I don't know if they knew what they were asking for, but they asked for a description between the, relationship of the library and everybody else. I gave them our three-legged stool explanation in terms of it's the Friends, it's the town, and it's the Board of Trustees, and how the library came together, where some of that funding comes from and what happens from that area. Because we do have many new council members, and it was stated that the new council members are looking, once they recover from budget, to do the vaccines tour of the library that we offer to all town council people and of course, all new board members. So they haven't yet taken the tour that you took just so recently. Right, so hopefully we'll be able to arrange that in a little bit. That's it. Iris is not here. I do not have a secretary's report, so I will go into approval of minutes. Did everybody?
May I say something?
Yes.
I'm looking around and I don't think there's anybody here. Does anybody remember Norma Marcelino?
Yes. Yeah.
She passed away. I read it in the paper the other day. You remember her? She was on the board.
Norma
when I
and Joe
first-
Marcelino.
Yeah, and she was a great friend of, Marie Dowling. And moved to the Cape, but I was a little disappointed. She was very active in the Easton Library at the Cape, and she was a wonderful person, and she was an educator, I believe, but they never mentioned her association with us. But anyway, one of the old time.
From the old
members
guard.
and supporters. Yeah, old time, I mean.
Thank you for sharing that. So back to minutes, and then I just want to say, especially because our secretary recording the notes is remote, if we could all be on our best behavior and say, this is Diane, right, when you're sharing the comment and stuff, because it's going to be very difficult for her to take the messages and see what's going on. Fortunately, she's not brand new, so she might recognize most of our voices. But from the time that she wasn't here and Anna took the meeting notes, and then I had to go back and find something out, I will tell you that we are the world's worst group when it comes to identifying ourselves when we speak. We also have a new board member, and it might be nice, for her to get some of the names, and I probably should have, done a quick roundabout with us. But for right now, I'll, move into approval for minutes. Did anybody read the minutes? Have any questions, comments, corrections? Looking online, anybody have any questions, comments, or? Okay, so then I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as they are. And who is that that's so?
Maureen.
And who would like to call out their name with a second?
This is Leanne, I'll second.
Thank you.
You got it wrong.
All those in favor of accepting the minutes as they are?
Aye.
Any opposed? Anyone abstaining? Thank you. Minutes are approved unanimously. Phew. Right, I'm the only one that doesn't have to say who I am because I talk all the time. Just saying. Review of the annual activities calendar. So, what we've done is over time, we figured out what we need to be talking about on the different, months, and there'll be no surprise that in April, we talk about the 5K race. And then we talk about the 5K race some more, as that goes on. But we also have a book sale coming up, and it's also, National Library Week, isn't it? Yep, as that goes through, and usually we have an investment committee report, quarterly report with that committee. They at least start to set up the times and stuff. So I know that that's going on. I know I owe Neil an email. So that's what I have going on in April, and of course, just a reminder that our 5K race this year is Sunday, May 19th. And that's what I have for April. All right, treasurer's report, Leanne May.
Treasurer's report from, period ending March 31st, 2024. I sent it out via email. I did not send it to you. I do apologize. I did not have you in the mix, so. For our checking account, which is unrestricted funds, the balance as of the end of the month was $57,784.23. Primarily, we had a number of disbursements through the restricted collections, the Polino, the large print, et cetera. And the income was race-based as well as the final legacy from Maureen Oliver. We got the largest piece a few months ago, and this is the final balance on that legacy. That was for $717.15 to go with the 20-odd thousand that he meant originally.
Very nice.
The money market at TD, which is the restricted funds, is at $41,072.30. And the Kingston unrestricted funds in the non-investment account stands at $267,919.06. All reimbursements from the restricted funds have been made. So we are current in terms of our balances. I have not yet done for March 31st, a quarterly report for the restricted funds. And I will get that out to executive committee as well as library staff so that they have the figures to work with for the various funds. I will say we are doing a really good job about coming back and using our restricted funds now, whereas for a while there, they kind of sat dormant. There's a couple that are in question, but we discussed them at our fund development, so hopefully we'll really utilize that. And then the breakdown on the restricted and unrestricted for the end of March is at the bottom of the report. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Leanne. Any questions for the treasurer? I don't see any online.
Can I just make a?
Yes, go ahead, Deanna.
So Elizabeth is Anna. Regarding the fact that the restricted funds weren't being utilized. you know, I think some of it might have been, the expression, things fall through the cracks. I think with the transition of, I mean, the transition of the people who are chairs of the different departments, where there was so much movement over a couple of years that, I think that some of that got lost, and I think if everything's more settled now and they can.
That's exactly it. I mean, Dorothy, Karen, everyone's working together now because they have a better understanding. For a while there, and I absolutely get it. Staff is looking at using funds that are library boards. So if they're in question, they're not gonna use it if they don't know. So now we're clarifying things as we go along. So as I said, the two that are really left in flux, we discussed it, fund development, so hopefully those will be.
So basically, we had funds that were set up for certain purchases only, therefore restricted, but we didn't understand what that, what those parameters were, so we were hesitant to use those funds.
Well, I mean, we have some funds, for example, one that just actually kind of ran to the bottom, we had, a memorial gift that was specifically earmarked for, it was from Lillian Macri. It was for cookbooks and women's sleuth mysteries. So, I mean, but the thing is, if you didn't know that, it was like, okay, all you saw was Macri Fund, not realizing it. And so the person who was handling it, we had Jeanette, and it changes over, and then Dorothy, and I mean, now we're on a better flow about where they can pull money from. So.
And I know that wasn't easy, so thank you to you and staff and Anna and everyone for trying to figure out just what the parameters were for the different donations. Appreciate it.
Well, considering that our collections have not been, I mean, it's been tough in terms of what we get from the town. We're having to
12 years.
supplement more, so let's use those funds rather than what was happening was pulling them from unrestricted funds, which is where we do a lot of other different things, so.
Can I ask, what's the process for, so if we get something where it's very specific, like women's sleuths, does that come in and then the description is put in with the budget, like a?
If it comes in, there are 4 people involved right now, so it's myself and Dorothy and Bailey upstairs. Carolyn handles some too, so it's kind of like a process. She opens the mail, most of the stuff will come to me, I'll dispense it to whoever it goes to. The larger funds like the Polino Book Fund is something that I manage. Dorothy's doing a great job at managing a lot of the other smaller funds, so is Bailey. I think Leanne has been, you've had conversations with them directly.
Yes.
So I think we're finally in a decent place. I know you guys mentioned this, but we had 3 department heads in that job in a period of like a year and a half.
Wow.
And in their defense, I mean, I actually came back to the library and said, I've been treasurer for 6 years. What is this?
Yeah.
I did not know what the Davis Fund was, so no one touched it until there was some research done.
Yeah.
So now we
Karen,
have
thank you
a
for
better
that
idea.
clarification. Okay, any other questions or comments on treasurer's report? No? Right, library director's report, I'm gonna make an assumption that the library director's report and the assistant library director's report is gonna be combined
Yes.
and given by Karen Benner, thank you.
I just wanted to start out, I had mentioned last month that we were going to have somebody from Human Services here at our staff meeting. So Kayla Hendrickson came over. We started our meeting a little bit early, so we had an hour and a half with her. She was addressing how to handle problem behavior or concerning, challenging behavior. She had a wonderful presentation that included some information on mental health and sort of how to recognize things, not to diagnose, but just sort of, maybe putting yourself in the other person's shoes. She gave us, I thought, some pretty good advice in terms of boundaries. I think I mentioned in the last meeting that one of the things we tend to do sometimes is maybe kind of overcompensate for a challenging patron, not maybe recognizing that we are also doing a disservice to the other patrons around. So I think she helped us sort of find that balance. She gave us some tools in terms of like what to say, frontline staff, So she was great. We got feedback from a lot of the staff. I think people felt, really good about her coming over. You're pretty new in her position. I was so impressed. So to follow it up, I met with Lieutenant Ivano from the police department last week. He's gonna come and speak at our next staff meeting, sort of the same thing, but more like when to call the police. And I think same kind of situation, although we have recently made more calls. I think they're more comfortable making calls, but kind of like these are situations that you can make a call. And it was interesting when I spoke with him, he said, they use the philosophy, if you see something, say something. Because what I've done was given him all these examples of things that have happened since January that ranged from, acute to non. So that was interesting. I think it's gonna be great for staff. He's also gonna show us the run, hide, fight video that I think we saw maybe, 4 or 5 years ago. That's put out by Homeland Security. So that's coming up. We have seen an increase in the last month, again, in children under 12 being left alone. It's a constant challenge for upstairs staff. People, they're either leaving their kids upstairs and coming downstairs. It's the same thing that you've heard. We have behavior policies posted. I will say staff has been wonderful about addressing it immediately. We had one situation with a 7-year-old, I think she was, who came in and they called me downstairs and there was only one person at staff. So I kind of introduced myself to her. I walked out with her. Mom was in the car. She had a little one, a dog, and she said, oh, I was just trying to teach her some responsibility. And, I kind of said, hey, it's against the law, but also it's a public building, went through that whole thing. So they're constantly dealing with it. I think we had a little bit of a reprieve, but the last month it's picked up again. And along with that are the groups of teens. I know Jen and her department had been dealing with that with the teen area. They do like the children's area because it's a little more isolated, especially that parent area there. And so staff upstairs have been saying, hey, we have these tables, which are kind of like under the skylight, where they have near the computers, if you want to sit there, or there's a teen area. Because, parents come up, they have their kids and you see these, teens kind of laying around and throwing pieces of paper or doing whatever they're doing. So, but we kind of expected this as the weather gets a little bit nicer. So we received 2 new study tables for the quiet reference area. So Lisa had been working on this before she left. When you get a chance, take a look. They're a mirror of the first set of study tables that we got. How long ago was that? 6-8 months ago, something like that. So it looks great. It's more open. It's brighter. It's nice, area for people to study. What's that?
That was from the grant money?
Yeah. One of the challenges with it was we finally were able to dispose of that huge, large piece of furniture. Facilities came over and we actually ended up donating it to the Glastonbury Library. There was somebody there who had use for it. So I think people are using the tables and so that's wonderful.
This is Diane. You're seeing more activity in that area?
I would say, and I should, while I'm talking about this, I should also give Jen some kudos because she had to rearrange the entire quiet reference area. And there were a lot of things on those, on that big case and stuff. And I think they're in good spots and easily.
So those are the big cases that used to have the globe and the
newspapers
and papers and things.
We received 3 resignations during the month, 2 library pages and a library substitute. All leaving for wonderful full-time opportunities. The pages had been with us, especially one of them, a long time, and she graduated and got a position where she had been interning at the Hartford, I think. Another young man was here, he graduated from Central, he got a full-time position. And then, what's that? Pratt and Whitney, yes, the Pratt and Whitney, and he was probably here for 2 or 3 years. And then we had hired, somebody who had just finished their MLIS. It's been probably about a year. We knew we weren't gonna have her for long, but, she got a full-time position at Yale. So all good things, but, now we're back to starting the processes again. I had mentioned at the last meeting that, facilities had contracted with, Sasco HVAC company to remove a broken exhaust unit in the mechanical room. They did that. We never even heard them. They were here at 6:30. They did all the banging and made all the noise before we opened at 10. Everything went smoothly. Everything was working well. We had a small leak on the 7th. I think it was at the beginning of the month. Actually, we just had another small leak 2 weeks ago. It's the same problematic area. It's where the skylights are, but it's that interior roof where facilities has been over. They've had, outside people come in, look, they cannot determine where this little leak is coming from. It wasn't dripping down, but you could see it up on so.
There was a lot of rain.
There was a lot of rain, yeah. And just a few things to note, in March, Carolyn McLean and Michelle Royal performed, a total of 50 notaries, which is a lot.
Wow.
It's up, yeah. And then just quickly, for National Library Week, the Passport to Connecticut Libraries has started. It's like amazing. You should you can possibly take to invest, right? You're seeing a lot of new faces, a lot of people excited about it. They have to come to the reference desk to get their passport stamped, or they go upstairs. So it's really fun. We already went through a little box of chocolate keys and got another box. So, that is going well. The Children's Department hosted class visits from Ruth Chafee during the month. We had, a program last week, a proper pairing, Great Britain's famous chocolatiers and tea pioneers, wherein we got samples of chocolate and tea. So that was no leftovers. Darn. That was a great program, and I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Does anyone have questions for Karen? Online? Okay. Thank you for the head shakes online. I appreciate it. Okay, Friends of the Library, Sheila Rao.
Hi, I did go to the, Friends of Connecticut Libraries meeting, last month, which was just representatives from all of the friends of all the libraries in Connecticut, oh, no, they didn't come, but, the ones, and, it was a, morning of discussions of, they have the same problem we do when we're trying to put on a book sale and that sort of thing. But it was nice to hear. It was nice to hear some other ideas about what they were using to sell, to make money, that sort of thing. And just to know who they were. And that was the first time I had gone. Nora went before that, so I really enjoyed that. The book sale, which is coming up the beginning of next month. We have our cricket. There's a very long learning curve on that little puppy. But we're getting there. We have the banners done. We have the lawn signs, we will have them done. And we did something different with the lawn signs. Instead of putting the dates on it, everyone complained that with those signs, the dates were so small because there was so much information, you couldn't see the dates. So all we did was put Friday, Saturday, Sunday on it, and they will all go up the week and before the things. So that seems to be working out well, and we're making progress with that one. Other problem we have with the book sale is discount book, whereas usually the people who come and take what we don't sell. went bankrupt. So, with some, again, from these friends from Focal, they were all in the same boat. There's another company, we have we have contacted them, they will be here to do the same thing. They're called Bay State, they're in Rhode Island, I'm not sure where they're called Bay State, but maybe they started off in Massachusetts. They'll be taking care of that for us. Our donations are up. I don't know what happened today. It was, I personally, I personally sorted 3 bins downstairs and there are 4 full bins in the basement right now.
Wow.
When I left. So I think there was somebody who was a repeat, but they're up and that's fine. The donations for, the expanded patch corner, are still coming in, they're interesting. I've gotten a box of drill bits, which I'm not sure what.
Drill bits, is that what you said?
Yeah, that sounds like it's something for the library of things.
Yeah, somebody's gonna love that.
I mean, it's just very interesting little kits and stuff. Looking forward to setting that up at the book sale.
Great.
Can I just
And
add, oh, sorry,
Go ahead.
this is Fiona, I sometimes use Better World books. It's, if you have a lot, they'll come pick them up. They also have drop boxes around and they're great and sometimes they'll like refurbish books and resell them. If they determine that it's not kind of worth that, then they deal with that, but they're a good, I've directed people to them before, I don't know if you've heard of them before. Anyway, just in case, you're looking for a new vendor for that.
Never expected it, but that was a situation, we just stopped hearing from them. Everybody was calling them, everybody was texting them, emailing them, and nobody was getting, and we started to get suspicious. And then these people from, the, Benson Connecticut Libraries, there's, that's sort of an exchange area, and they all started saying the same things. So we finally sort of touched base with somebody else and found out that they were actually bankrupt.
Neil Ryan, for the record, I should first ask this question of Anna. Anna, the friends of me this Wednesday, and Anna, do you know me? The other thing I wanted to mention, Neil Ryan, continuing, I attended the Friends March meeting. It was a fun meeting, and if I memory serves, I think it was noted that the Winterfest netted about $11,000, does that sound right?
Yeah.
That's what I report.
Great. Is that, gross or net?
I think it was net.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you.
That was the one thing I remember from the meeting, I wrote that down, I remember this.
So,
Super. Any questions for Sheila? Online or in the room? Okay, thank you, Sheila. Committee reports, and then I'm just gonna ask, because our recording secretary is remote. Try to speak clearly enough, like speak to the owls in the middle of the room, not to the person sitting next to you. I don't usually have a problem speaking loudly enough, but not everybody. Some folks are more quiet than I am. Anyways, committee reports, budget.
it's, in the hands of the council.
Right, it's in the hands of the council and they did have that meeting. Any other questions regarding budget?
Well, I guess, Neil Ryan, again, just a question. Is the council considering filling that, vacant position? Is that what they're discussing?
There was a discussion about providing money for that or not,
Okay, so
whether anything comes of it,
Right.
in reality, I don't know.
discussing the possibility, maybe trying to fill up the debt, I think that would be safe.
So this is Diane. What had happened is it was put in for the original budget from the library to the town manager. I don't believe it truly made it from the town manager to town council, but somehow it was introduced for discussion. As that went back and forth, but it was not in for official recommendation. But it was mentioned that it was put forward, put on hold, and then we discussed the position and what it was, so.
It's very positive.
This is Anna. I just have a question because I know that I missed the day that we were on the town council's agenda. So how did that meeting go? Like last year, we waited a very long time for our turn. But did it go smoother this year and we have an opportunity to say what we needed to say?
Yes, so, we were maybe a little bit earlier in the agenda. This is Diane. We were earlier in the agenda. We went through, we were there to ask questions. The council is always very gracious to us. And I think I had mentioned earlier that they allowed us to do, the three-legged spiel of, this is how the library is, with a little bit more history. So not only, is it, the board of trustees with the original library going on, I kind of went back with that, and then the Friends supporting it, and, the, town, of course, supporting in the original agreement from 85 years ago. But I also mentioned that, we are very concerned about space and, collections and product. We have not had an increase in our collections in our budget, really, other than, salary, which we don't have any control over, right? It's, unionized salary that's already preordained, but, in 12 years. And that really the cost of getting materials is so much different now. And I didn't know if everybody on the council was aware that, 20 years ago, you would buy a hardcover book, $15, and you put it out as many times as you could, and when it started to fall apart, we put it through the book hospital, and then we put it out again for, more times. And now with the subscriptions, as wonderful as they are, they're not purchased in the same way. So I had explained that depending on who is allowing us to have the books, whether it be, Libby or Hoopla or the magazines or the records or anything else like that, they have a different schedule. And sometimes that schedule is you can have it for so many months and we don't care how many people, download it or share it, or you could have it for 12 uses, 12, rentals, if you will. So the different, places handle things differently, everything's different. And then, of course, I mentioned our concern about the fact that, we have approved and in some state of construction, over 1,000 homes coming up in Newington between apartments and houses and stuff like that. And we really have to consider how we can, with existing staff, existing building, existing budget, be expected to serve the needs of a community that is growing that quickly. So that's what we did. They were very receptive. And I think I also mentioned that at the end, they were very receptive. They weren't sitting there with a checkbook, but they were listening, they were absorbing, it wasn't like it was blank faces. And, we also mentioned that, they were very interested in doing a behind the scenes tour, for the new members. And even people that know us intimately are welcome for that tour as it goes back. So that's what happened there.
This is Neil Ryan, for the record. I think you should note that as far as town council goes, there are a lot of brand new members. The fact they're asking for an explanation of how that was funded is very positive. They want to learn, We wouldn't expect them to know everything about the library's funding as we do. They're brand new, but the fact that reaching out and asking questions shows they want it. That's it.
Thanks, Dan. That question was from you, Anna. Did I answer it well? Okay,
Thank you.
Anybody else have a question about that Saturday budget meeting? No, looking online? Okay. Anything else for budget? If not, I'll move on to PEP, Planning, Evaluation, and Policy with Pauline.
No report.
All that, it took longer to say who we were.
Well,
No, it's not true. We have Pam. This is Maureen.
Yes,
Pam is new.
we do have a new member and,
Pauline, I'm gonna use your time in my report. This is Anna.
that's fine.
Okay, then I'm gonna move right along. Thank you, Pauline.
You're welcome.
Investment.
Yes, Neil Ryan, speaking for the investment committee. I can't top Pauline's report. That was. I emailed out the March reports earlier today. If you had a chance to look at the reports. March was another good year for our portfolio. we've netted about $30,000 for the month. So as of March 31st, 2024, our portfolio balance stood at $795,417.68, which is very good. So this is the first quarter of the year. And we're up $30,000 for the first quarter. I don't know what that could looks like a percentage, 5%. But I'm saying the market's been on a bull run for the last 5-6 months. And I think part of it is the jobs reports that come out each month. But they're good month, that's month. Last Friday's jobs report came out. It beat analyst estimates. I think there were 302,000 jobs created. The other thing that they've been very positive is that wages hadn't increased very much. So that's good in terms of inflation. So it's like a perfect melding of figures. So the market had a big day Friday, and it's continuing well. And like I say, we're off to a very good start this first quarter. And that's all I really need to say. I should know, there's an error on the report that I emailed out to you. And I noticed that, and when I looked at Leanne's treasurer report, I thought, I do, I just remembered. All right, so if you look at the year-to-date, well, actually 3/20/24, restricted funds were under the $795,470.68, where it says, okay, I put down. Let me rephrase that. Forget what I just said. Under the final column headed year-to-date, the restricted funds, I had listed as 482, 437.85. That's incorrect. Cross it out, it should be 482, 327.15. So that changes the unrestricted funds. So $313,000, $313,090.53. I hope that makes sense.
It does. If you wouldn't mind, Neil, if you could just make that correction and then resend,
Yeah, I will.
because I think that
will
would
say
be easier than,
Then explain it.
trying to
Yeah.
remember, explain.
So that's, I'm in the process of trying to schedule a meeting with, the investment committee and Dean. I sent an email a few days ago. Leanne's gotten back to me, waiting to hear back from the other,
Wait to hear back from me.
you and a couple other members as to what's a good day. It may be later April or early May, the meeting. Which is good. Our last meeting was in, October.
I think it was cold.
So anyway, I'm working on trying to schedule the next investing committee meeting and, hopefully that'll be resolved in a few days and next month I'll report on that.
Okay. Thanks, Neil. Does anybody have questions for Neil? Looking online? No? Shaking heads? Okay. Anybody gets a bottle and puts it in there and saying, I'm done for, because I'll just be shaking heads for no all night long. House Committee, Diane Stam, so that's me. We've had, from what the board's trying to do between the drapes and the lamps and stuff, there's been a lot of discussions going on back and forth. Some of the hardware that's in here and the way it's mounted means that we really do have to work with the town facilities folks. So, Dave, Leanne, and, town facilities, figure out, do we go on the outside, the inside? When that gets figured out, I'm sure we're just gonna move quickly with that. We have a possible contact at Connecticut Lighting that might be able to do something for us for pricing, but we haven't identified them, so that's still an open issue. I did notice outside, I don't know if you guys remember that, but for a while we were walking around a big orange drum can that was over one of the lights, so they did fix that light fixture that was out there. I'm pointing towards the parking lot, kind of by the little readers, the free library book, on the other side. I know that was done. And, I know that Carolyn has submitted many of the work orders for the spring cleanup jobs and stuff. If it would ever stop raining, maybe we could get some outside work done. But on a quick note, when you come in during the daylight hours, you can see all those daffodils that were courtesy of the Friends, daffodil and tulip sale that, people donated and the Scouts planted for us a couple of years ago. So it's nice to see that those are holding up well. That's all I have for House Committee at this time. If anybody else has questions online or anything else? No?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you. Facility and Site, Maureen Lyons.
Hi, this is Maureen. We had a facility and site meeting. It was rather spirited. There's been some new developments since a while. The facility, the library expansion committee that was a town-appointed, town-developed committee, which has been in abeyance since town hall started, the building of town hall. And we did have some misinformation. We were under the impression that that committee was defunct. And it is not, even though there's an ordinance now with a townwide building committee, that still is in question, whether it's the whole committee or the makeup of it. But at any rate, in the meantime, the library expansion committee exists. So Lauren Rhines, who is the administrative service manager for the town, I was in touch with her, and she is the person who would call those meetings. So the makeup was Leanne, Mankey, and me as library representatives, Newell Stam as a town representative. Then we had council liaisons, so it's Dave Nagel and Kim Rada, they're on board. And then we have 2 open town positions. But with the existing makeup, Lauren said that we do have a quorum. However, Mr. Newell Stam threw a little monkey wrench into the works and he resigned. Oh, so I received an email from Lauren, and apparently at tomorrow's meeting day on the agenda is a citizen, a town member is going to be appointed to that.
Supposedly, if the credentials are okay for
Right.
that person, with that they're not having to do with party or anything, just do they work for the town, can they be on a committee like this? So
Right,
there's
I wondered about that. If there-
swirling
conflict.
question I don't know the answer to,
Yeah.
whatever, but that will come up.
So if that person is indeed approved by the council, then Lauren we have scheduled a meeting for April 11th, which is this Thursday.
Right.
She also had scheduled it for 5, and I spoke with her today, or left a voicemail. That's too early, because people still work, some people work, so that's just now. Take there.
Some people have a contractual agreement to be someplace else at that time, whether or not they're actually working.
People still work.
People still work.
Dave Nagel, has she given a later time, because last I chatted with her, it was 5.
I just left a message for her today. She just sent the email out saying this new member was being considered. And I looked at the agenda and saw that it was 5 o'clock and you know, I said to her, there are still working folks. So that's kind of early, very early. And I asked her to reference minutes from the old meetings. I don't think we met before 7. Maybe we had an early meeting occasionally.
For some reason, 6 comes
6, but it wasn't 5.
No, because I
It wasn't 5. So, so what's happening? We have our facilities committee, which is a board committee that handles things, you know, our charge really is the expansion of the library, you know, working towards that. Right now, the hope is that we can have a plan to present to the town council to be put on the referendum in the November election. With the reinstitution of this library expansion committee, they're the folks that have to do the work. They're the ones that actually present to the council and make the formal request. If council approves the presentation, the plan, They're the ones that make the formal request for the referendum. So with that being said, I got in touch with Leslie Berger. We had hired a consultant and an architect to do plans for us. But this has been going on since 2015 or 16.
15 was when the first feasibility, I think.
So we have bones. They're just not refined. Everybody has different ideas, but we have a lot of good ideas. And so I spoke with Leslie. We're back to the drawing board. I spoke with her Thursday. And she has to get in touch with Andrew. I mean, obviously, these people still have things to do. They haven't just been waiting for us. So she did mention that Andrew, who's the architect, was working on a lot of things, but 2 libraries in particular. And Leslie, who has this, owns the consulting company, she has been appointed interim director of the ALA.
American Libraries
Wait,
Association.
what?
Yes, but not, she won't take it permanently. I mean,
Wow.
but they asked her, she's a former library director and has been, so she is serving as the interim director. So she's also busy, but she was also very excited to see that we have resurrected our plans. So, I filled her in on where we were at. So that's where we're at. I'm waiting to hear from her to make sure Andrew is still on board. I mean, and what I've asked for is a meeting. So the preliminary meeting, I believe, would be with Leslie, Andrew, and probably Vinci, Andrew's associate, architectural associate, as a Zoom meeting, and then do in, face to face. If they all agree to participate, Andrew would have to be on board as part of the presentation to the town. He wouldn't be the architect on record necessarily once we're approved. I'm being optimistic, because then once a referendum is, goes through, then everything goes out to bid. So, and she certainly knows that. That's what these folks do for a living. So, we have a lot of ideas, we have preliminary architectural plans, we have plans, drawings, et cetera, as a group, we're not on board 100% with, who likes what, who doesn't. And I said to Leslie, I said, sometimes it's as simple as the rendering of the children's room has pink chairs and we don't want pink. That doesn't mean the chairs are going to be pink, but it's all conceptual. So anyway, I'm waiting to hear from her. We need to get that in the works. We need to, the library board essentially would be the consultants for the renovation committee and feeding them information. So we're in a momentary flux, but momentary. The other question, the big question I had for Lauren Rhines was because Newell was the chairperson and he was representing the town people. I was under the impression that the chairperson had to be a town person, not a library person, but that's not true. So the chairmanship is in question also, Liam.
I have a couple of questions regarding, this is Leanne, regarding the quorum, but the shortage of 2 people, and Dave, perhaps you can answer this. Because we're kind of reactivated, how do we solicit interest in those 2 additional positions from the public? Is that something the town council will publish, or is that something that we can go out and kind of beat the bushes for? It really, I mean, obviously, we as this group would like to have library-friendly folks on there. But I think it's also, as a town person, you want to have people who are construction minded, if you will, so that you have, the talent on the committee. So how do we go out, if this one person is going to go in tomorrow, what about those two other positions?
It's been so long since.
Right.
It was formed originally. I know other committees have been formed, and I don't know if that one was. For those positions through the town manager
Okay,
and not through the Democrats, Republicans.
Right, and I
So
think
it would
that's,
be-
I do recall that.
okay, so,
So I'm assuming that you would go through the town manager for people who were interested, would go through the town manager to apply, to say that they wish to be on this committee.
so hypothetically, if we know of someone, we should send them in in the
Correct.
town manager's direction.
And losing Newell was, sad on so many fronts. First of all, Newell Stan, who was Diane's brother, but, he was a former library board member and former president. So he understood.
And this is Diane, and more importantly, he's a certified
And he
professional
was- I
civil
was gonna say
engineer
that.
and is in the construction.
And he was
industry.
also an engineer.
It's nice to think. that
So
he's
it's
kind of-
nice to have somebody with that expertise. Leanne's been in the construction engineering business
Forever.
forever. So those gaps would be nice to be filled. Now, I understand the person who's being considered. Does he work for the town and facilities?
Yeah.
or-
Just heard the name had something to do with working with the town, and I don't know.
Yeah.
So watch or attend the meeting tomorrow to find out who it is and what the reservations are.
So anyway, that's where we're
I
at,
have a
and
question.
hopefully, yes, I'm sorry.
Can I talk a bit about this? Because this is part of my job is as the other hat of the Democratic chair of the nominating committee. That's what I do. We've placed one person replacing Laurel. Maureen stays the same, Leanne stays the same, Dave stays the same, Kim Rada stays the same. Newell, I hadn't heard about the resignation, but the vacant
Just
position, I have been working on that and had gotten approval. I was told that he had gotten approval that it would be okay for him to do the particular job. I felt he was good for the library. So the only one position that's open would be Newell's. If the
Well, no,
town
it's
council,
not
if the town council approves the two names that I've submitted, then just Newell's position is open.
Well, originally it was Sylvia and Laurel.
And
Who?
And Newell. So you're saying the person you solicited would be filling Laurel's position?
I have one person that will be replacing Laurel.
Okay,
Very
and then
very
somebody
dynamic
is-
woman, very dynamic woman. And then the person that was vacant, there was a vacant Democratic position for us. And that's the position from the town. He's a town employee. But
And is that the person coming before council?
yes,
Tomorrow?
yes, yes,
So there's two people,
right.
but there's still one more, Paul.
Newell's, if he's resigned, so that position is open.
Well, that's the one.
So.
No,
she's
Sylvia's
saying
not on the
You've got-
committee.
For Sylvia, from the old Sylvia position. So Steve Sylvia was on the library additions renovations committee. Sorry, this is Diane.
Right.
And he resigned because he joined the Board of Ed.
Right,
And so that position was always left kind of open, but we had enough as a quorum a couple of years ago when we were doing this. So that position, the position that Laura held and the position that Newell held, those were all town positions. And they're all open this go around. Sounds like Pauline has two names.
yes.
She just became aware that Newell was not gonna move forward, so we still have one position that is yet unassigned.
So I have a question, this is Anna. So Did anybody go back to Laurel to ask Laurel if she was
Yes.
interested?
Oh,
Okay,
yes, Laurel said that she felt that she could not at the present moment.
right, that's all I wanted to know, because she originally she came from that committee and joined the board.
Yeah.
I didn't
And
know,
left.
and then left, I just wanted to make sure.
Oh, no, before I did anything, I called her, talked with her, and she talked it over with her family, and this was her decision.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is Neil,
Go ahead, Neil.
Neil, a comment. Leanne, you brought up the question that I'm trying to understand what the answer is. So Maya said that there are two openings. Ignoring not the, who will stand for them. Maya said, like you said, there are two openings, and I really am not sure how they're gonna be appointed. Now, Dave said that it probably will be done with a manager, and, do people that know about this project
No,
contact the town manager? Well, how's the process go work? I'm not clear on how these two names can be brought to the town manager, I guess, was. I don't know.
No, it wasn't brought before the town manager on this.
What, thing?
She
It
said
was
it
not
was
brought
not
before.
for the town manager,
So
so.
Paulina's saying, it sounds like the Democratic Town Committee is gonna put forward a name,
Right.
and I imagine the Republican Town Committee is gonna put forward a name?
It will be replacing Newell. Yes.
Okay. So that's it. So the Democratic Town Committee put forward the name, Republican Town Committee put forward the name.
this is Leanne. My understanding, and I will tell you right point blank, I am not a political creature. So my understanding was that the town committees weren't necessarily, for this particular aspect, were three people from the public. It wasn't necessarily
Right.
Republican, Democrat, whatever.
He's not-
and if it-
The person that we're putting on is neither Republican nor Democrat. The one that's being discussed
And I
this week.
understand that, but I'm talking about the solicitation of the individuals. If it's supposed to go through town manager, but you're coming up, and I don't have any problem with the Democrats or the Republicans soliciting folks because they have a resource that we don't have. But I just want to make sure that we're not kind of sidestepping the process here if it's supposed to go to town manager, that's all.
I was told it was not supposed to be that's the reason why I got involved.
Oh, okay, like I said, I don't know.
No,
That's why I asked the question.
now, if the town manager was involved, I would have been stopped. But
Okay.
I wasn't.
This is Neil again, I'm sorry. When you're referring to the committee, this is the Library Addition and Renovation Committee, LARC, correct?
Yes.
That's it. That's the acronym, LARC,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
So we have a meeting scheduled for April 11th. Hopefully the person will be approved tomorrow. Or persons, and we'll have a meeting, a chairperson. I don't even, I think Lauren indicated we don't even need a chairperson, but you do need somebody at the helm. So that can be a committee discussion.
And if I could just interject, this is Diane. So, last year what it was is once they got the members, all the members voted for who would be a chairperson. And sometimes the way that vote goes is you're either voluntold or you're
Yeah.
too slow and stepping back, right? So, usually that's what happens is once the committee's formed, the people on the committee vote in who would be whatever in that
So
position.
that will
So
happen
you
at
won't know who
the
that
meeting.
person is until you have all the players
Mhm.
involved. And they might move forward even if they don't have that final person in place yet.
Anyway, it's important to have the committee in place, have a meeting, get our bearings, because we need to have everything submitted by September. Thank you.
Any additional questions? I'm looking online or, anywhere else on this?
Just a statement.
Yes, go
If we
ahead,
have to
Anna.
be prepared for September. It sounds like we're gonna be meeting through the summer.
I would think,
I would think.
yeah.
Okay, and this is Diane again. One other thing that I just wanted to bring back in, because I'm never quite sure if it's part of House Committee or if it's Facility Committee, but we are looking into approaching the town again about having our sign out front on Cedar Street, the lower portion of that, be a, electronic messaging. So we're not gonna change the overall sign, but where it is now, it is such a cumbersome, pain in the neck, we'll call it, to change and update that. And seeing as the town is popping up electronic signs in many places, we felt that this might be a time for us to reapproach the town and ask, for consideration on this. I'm not sure where that's gonna go. Let me finish, Neil, because I'm hoping to answer the question and not have an incredibly long discussion on this. I'm not sure where that's gonna go. I'm not sure if we're gonna get into something like we did with the parking lot, where yes, you can do it, but it's gotta be leased, or it's gotta be this or that or the other thing. What I would like to ask, or at least think about at this time, is if it's a situation where, we should have some kind of legal document, I would like to have Peter Alter or our lawyer, right, a lawyer from us, review documents or create documents, rather than going to, the town hall lawyer. I mean, they can also do documents, but it's kind of like using your father-in-law's lawyer for your divorce, right? So I just think that, common sense is that, we would have, our lawyer look over the documents. My first choice would be Peter Alter, because he's so familiar already from all the stuff that we did with the parking lot, that if we're signing agreement somewhere, I have no idea where this is gonna go or how it's gonna happen, but if for some reason we have to sign an agreement. Is there anybody here against, the legal representation or, spending some monies for that? I don't know what that is.
This is Anna, I think it sounds prudent.
Okay.
This is Leanne, I agree. I don't know that we can put a not to exceed on it because we don't know what we're anticipating here.
Right, we don't know, the dollar amounts, we don't know if it would be, a quick, I like the term the quick deed, it's a 15-minute thing and it goes through, but, the purchase of the house never is, so, if you go back and forth.
This is Maureen. Diane, you're saying the town, is it?
We would have to get TPC approval.
TPC.
Because of our public, our private standing. We encountered this with the parking lot about the fact that we're a private entity, that we have different rules applied to town buildings.
But then if you go back to that three-legged stool,
That is so.
it's all together. So we're trying to figure that out. We're trying to approach that yet again, to see what happens. So we'll be pulling up the old paperwork for, the signs, budgeting and stuff like that. But I think it's a win-win because we're able to, keep up-to-date announcements on that sign, and it's a service to the community. So whatever as that goes through. So again, I wasn't quite sure if that was house or, facility, but go ahead, Neil.
You
your
can
next
answer my
question.
question,
Okay.
but just for information purposes, we have a different town attorney at Congress Law.
We have a new one. I thought it was
Or-
interim.
I'll tell you.
No, we do have a new town attorney. The town keeps attorneys, on retainer and, great, we'll work with folks, but,
But I agree with you.
I think if
It
there's a
all- it
document
all
that-
makes sense.
I think we should have representation for the library and the town that are different lawyers. If it comes down to a point where we have to have some kind of documentation. That's all. All right, I'm glad I'm looking online. It doesn't look like anybody's got a problem with that. So, just wanted to give a heads up if you see that, hear that, or going through, and I want to feel okay to reach out to the lawyer and say, okay, so look at this, we're leapfrogging ahead this time, and what are we doing? All right, next up is fund development with Anna.
Thank you. Elizabeth, it's Anna. So I distributed a copy of the report, and I believe Elizabeth was included in that distribution online. So I'm just going to go right for the action items, so I'm just gonna jump to page 2. And under the category of enrichment, that it's just a bookmark for all of us to keep in mind that what we're doing here is enriching the library. Whether we're raising funds or doing legacy work, it's all about enrichment. And It should be our catchphrase, in a way. So, one of the other things, oh, look at that typo. One of the other things that we discussed in terms of action items was an annual campaign. And Andy had brought up, he had informed us he had done a review of libraries in the states that need to raise money like we do. And he realized in his review that the difference between what these other libraries are doing and what we're not doing is we're not doing an annual campaign. So, Fiona unfortunately couldn't be at the meeting, the fund development meeting, but we've already had a little talk. And we're gonna see if, we can start using the constant contact database that we have. Just not even for a campaign, but just start reaching out this month sometime, letting them know, hey, we've got a 5K race coming up and we've got the book sale coming up. So that will be our start. So as long as no one has a problem with that. And then and Fiona already had something in place regarding a giving day for the library, so hopefully we'll be able to flush something out and come back to that with a more just definitive timeline. Stack the racks came up, and I have to interject something on Stack the Racks, that it was Chris that originated the idea, and then, now I'm confused. It was
Chris came up with a thermometer.
Chris came up with the thermometer.
Chris Ryder.
Yeah, and George was in there too. Oh, no, it was, sorry, I'm getting my stuff. It was the Feel Good Friday thing that George, anyway, back to Stack the Racks. So we had a conversation about the Stack the Racks. It's an existing fund. It actually has $951 or something.
$915.
Yeah, not 750. So the idea that just jumped into my head after the meeting, do we want to kick this off, do the Stack the Rack thing as a fundraiser to put a focus on? We have not had an increase in the collection budget for 12 years, and do something at the 5K. And literally, my brain is going like overtime with this. Have the thermometer, but use books as the gauge for the thermometer going up, right? And, we would need to set a dollar amount. We would definitely need a goal. Do we do it then for the 5K, or do we do it at the annual meeting and then focus on, this is a 3-month campaign and we want to get to the goal by the end of the year? I don't know.
Or can I offer another option of when to do it? At the summer reading kickoff? How many people? That's a lot, right? And we might be
A
able
lot
to,
of people come in for the summer reading.
and we might be able to collect email addresses that day from people that potentially wouldn't have
Smart. And at the same time, we have the legacy corner set up for the summer reading program. We've done that in the past. We're,
I feel like summer reading is good because it's focused on book, you know what I mean? Whereas the race, there's a lot
There's
of other
a lot
things.
going on.
Yeah, whereas
I like
coming
it.
for that.
Just whoever,
We do it for the winter.
Yeah.
well, if we don't, oh no, the winter reading one isn't until January.
That's what I'm saying.
But do it again, basically.
Oh. Summer reading.
Summer reading, is that June?
Yes.
End of June? School gets out early June?
Second, how many registrants do you usually get for summer reading?
Oh, God.
Hundreds.
Hundreds.
Oh,
yeah, I
Yeah.
the winter, we almost are 200 first day.
For the adult or the children?
Adult.
For the first day.
First day,
Yeah.
wow.
The summer reading,
It's even more.
just that kickoff is over 300, maybe 350 or something. And it seems like every year it's gotten larger since.
Yeah.
And
Good exposure.
it would be a good thing, because when they have the finale for the summer reading, the whole atrium is filled with people.
Right.
It's really, so, okay, so I'm good with the summer reading, and it gives us time to develop our stack of racks, or rack of stack. our stack of books, what do you think our goal should be? 10,000, 12,000, I mean, do we shoot that high or
Are we saying it's only for collection development? Or are we just leaving
stack
it
the racks is
unrestricted?
collected? Correct.
We're gonna say it, it's specifically will be for collections. It's not
Only because
unrestricted.
of what the conversation at the fund development meeting, that staff, now that the staff knows what the process is and what the
Right.
funds are, they're starting to tap into it more specifically. And, you know, it's been 12 years since they've been kind of held back.
Right.
And
Okay.
we could, this is Leanne, we could focus a bit on, potentially, not only we do have the collection of books, we have the library of things. So if we call it Stack the Racks, we're not identifying specifically books,
Right.
but the books will be the visual on the thermometer. Because who knows if, you know, ukuleles today, what's tomorrow, you know?
Stack the racks could be books, video.
Video, any media.
Yeah,
Is the
media.
library of things, does that fall under collection development or budget? Oh, it does. Oh, okay, so that's a pretty broad term then, you can really use that. Okay.
I have no idea what a comfortable number is. You know, last time, and the last
For
time.
us
we
or for
did
the people who donate?
Huh?
For us or for the people who donate? Sorry,
The
that's
goal.
sarcastic.
The goal, the goal. Yeah, so when we did the Stack the Racks, we kicked it off with the 75th anniversary. At the same time, so there were two things that happened at the same time. 75th anniversary, we established the 750 Club. We invited people to celebrate the 75th anniversary by donating $75. So and that alone, we collected over
$5,100 currently.
Right. And then for those people who the $75 was a bit of a stretch, we had the $30 Stack the Racks. And,
If we do $30 again, I don't know if we wanna do that, but we could say basically that's the price of a hardcover book these days, and that could be like sort of the thing, it's
is that
like.
true?
It's getting up there.
I mean,
Okay.
a newly published, brand new, well-known author,
Yeah.
hardcovers could be $30, you know, $27.99 or whatever. But we could say essentially that's the cover of one book,
Well,
or the.
But I like that because, you know, when people are other organizations that fundraise, they'll say, you know, your $10 contribution will buy, you know, 10 meals, you know, for kids or whatever, you know, they can make that association with
Right.
something solid.
Right.
And if we say $30 is a number for a new hardcover.
And then does it make sense to put other things out there like subscription amounts and stuff, or is that getting too nitty gritty?
Too nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Let's start with the books. And if, my feeling, again, this is Leanne, my feeling is start with the books, start with the thermometer. The intent would be we could use it for collections, whatever that may be. The question I have is, if we're gonna do summer reading, which makes sense to me, do we then start with summer reading and then end with summer reading? So that's a period of what? 2 months?
That's 2 months or a little less.
So what could we don't want to be so short or, you know, or not set a high enough goal for that 2 month period.
Or so it's a little too high.
Right. I mean, you want to have it high enough so that people are going, oh, we're
You want it
almost
to be
there,
attainable.
you know.
I like that word, attainable.
But you don't want to set it, you know, high in the sky. If you're gonna do $30, that's, you know, you're talking 100 contributions for 3,000.
Yeah,
So if you're gonna do, maybe you do 6,000, that's 200 contributions of, you know, $30.
that should be, I would think that would be reachable.
And remember, you have 915 you can put on the bottom like we started.
Mhm.
Little seed money there.
Yeah.
6,000 sounds like, so 6,000,
Or even do 7,500 if you wanted to do that almost 1,000 that you have to start, that's all.
What about a play on the 85th anniversary, 8,500, Stack the Racks?
so smart.
No, I just steal all your
All of
ideas.
a sudden, I like that 8,500.
Well, particularly if we're not going to do an 85th, 85 for the 85th
Yeah.
kind of thing, that would,
But we could do that for summer reading, and then if we don't hit that, we can, you know, say, we got so close in the summer, help us in our 85th year to get to this.
Oh, yeah, we could do like a little thing at the end of summer reading to say, because that'll be what, maybe like a month and change out to the annual meeting. Maybe just say, get us to the finish line or something
So we
like that.
got close, we got 7,500. Right,
Okay, so I think this is getting, into.
250 people.
I think this is getting nitty gritty for like a fund development meeting, so let's, I think those are all good ideas.
All right, so I'll continue. All right, we're, okay. Legacy Corner, I want to work with, Karen and Lisa to come up with some kind of portable display that's eye-catching and engaging and, you know, that we can
And
put on
set
as
of medals
needed.
on the board, yeah.
Yeah, we can work on that. Social media. So this is the idea that I think Chris originated and then George kind of picked up the ball and ran with it. And he tagged it as Feel Good Friday. And it's developing a process where we put postings out on a Friday about positive things that have happened in the library. And it could be anything, you know, whether it's us or the friends or, you know, just, or even an interaction in the library, something good. Karen mentioned that there was somebody who was very savvy on staff and, you know, you wanna maybe talk to that person about it and generate, you know, generate something, you know, maybe there's a framework or something and yeah, I mean, I'm not, you know, we don't necessarily have to be, you know, provide the oversight. I'm sure the oversight is, you know, whatever the staff, and at least the Karen and the savvy person come up with will be fine, you know, but just to get it out there with whatever social media connections you have.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not
And the
gonna,
idea, and the idea behind that is, I think it was Andy who was saying that, you know, people donate to the library because they have good experiences at the library. And so we want to kind of share those good experiences. And so that, you know, people are oh, that's a great story. You know, that's a great experience that somebody had with the library. Maybe that would kind of get more funds coming in when people start having more positive experiences, more enrichment, I think is the word that Andy used. So that was the idea behind it.
It's a great idea.
okay.
Almost,
So, and
this
throw
is
that
Diane, I was gonna say,
enrichment.
it's almost like caught doing something good,
Yes.
your internal, program that you had a couple of years ago, so if you think of it in that, you know, what can we?
Yeah, we tend to do, we do have somebody who, there are a couple people who, manage the social media, but we've got one main person who's incredibly, creative. So I feel like, we do a lot with social media with programs. This is a kind of unique way to, you know, get whatever it is out there, you know, even if it's about, you know, something somebody donated or a staff person did this, or, you know, the board had this, or the friends had this. You know, just need to,
The third and fourth grade classes, you know,
Yeah.
saw a wonderful
Yeah.
children's speaker,
yeah,
you know, through the generosity of the Sleva family.
yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
There is a lot of that being done upstairs from the children's, we kind of have separate, they do a lot, they handle their own, they do a
Oh, do
lot.
they have a different account?
Yeah, they manage a different,
Oh, they do.
yeah,
I don't know all of that.
so we have like 4 people that actually kind of work on it.
Okay.
So, but anyway, I think it's a great idea.
I don't know if this is just like librarian stuff that I'd like, but like maybe even doing like circulation. I don't know if this is exciting. I like this, but you know, I don't know. It's exciting social media dynamic. I don't know, but like circulation for the week or something, just to kind of show people like how active books and other, you know, other things are cycling through. Just, and that gets it on their mind sort of that the resources are being used,
Sure.
you know?
But this is Maureen, I think that's a great point, because so many people think because of digital circulation and stuff that the collection is is very different, and it isn't, you know, there's a new type of collection now. As well as part of public works.
Well, just the thought that people, sorry, this is Diane, that people might have gotten out of the habit of physically walking into a library due to COVID. But really, we're seeing that our numbers are back, so every once in a while, if we can, you know, sprinkle something like that in and say, you know, highest number since COVID. You know, people, you know, we're back, baby, we're back kind of thing, whatever it is.
Yeah,
Okay,
and maybe the children's department and the adults collection could work together and.
they do.
And, you know, they don't both have to create
Yeah.
a, you know, a Feel Good Friday announcement, but they can alternate or, you know, something like that. All right, so next, thank you, Karen. Sure. So, legacy flyers, after the meeting, I took a look at, had thoughts about the idea of the legacy flyers that have been going in as inserts into the footnotes for the last couple of years. And, you know, we at the meeting, we talked about our return on investment, basically. So with Big Quest, we're never going to know, it's just, but certainly with the Library Champions concept, you know, we put that idea out there a number of times now, and we've even talked about it at Hanel concerts. And except for 4 people, 3 of whom are board members, we have not had droves of people signing up. So I'm thinking that what we can do is cut back to 1 flyer a year, more towards the end of the year, which is when people do most of their giving. And then I have another idea kicking around, maybe the money that's set aside for the flyer could go to something else. So if you're okay with cutting back on that, because it's something that needs to be, you know, reevaluated, you know, that's my recommendation. So one last thing to go into the footnotes, the next footnote. Adding to the trustees mailing list, that's the list with constant contact. And, so I found the statistic, and I knew about this from all the work that I've been doing on fund development. And, 60% of US and Canadian donors are female. And so, I think it might have been Andy that said, is there some way to get a target email list of women over the age of 65 in Newington where we could, you know, I mean, I've gotten things that I haven't asked for, you know, so I don't know where people are getting my email address from, but you know, there's gotta be a list. I don't know where to buy the list, but if somebody can point us in that direction, you know, to get a targeted list like that. You know, I'm looking at you, Karen.
I know you are.
If anybody, I don't know if you can do that, you know.
People are
do that with
funny.
town, I don't know if there's a town, you know, if there's town list that might provide that information. No, I'm not talking about library list. I'm talking about, you know, public domain information.
So this is Diane. When we were working on the grant application, the woman we were working with said that there are lists out there, cost money. But maybe we could reach out to her again and see what kind of lists are available. She was talking about how, you know, you could live right next door to a millionaire and you don't recognize it, you don't know that, right? Because you're not. If you're not in millionaire's row, you don't assume that everybody next to you, whatever they have, but they do have lists that go through. But it's working with a marketing campaign and paying for some of that, so.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know who, I think I have her contact information. I mean, is it okay if I reach out to her or somebody else should be reaching out to her?
I think you can reach out to her and do some fact finding of what it would cost and what's available and report back at the next meeting. And if it's something that we wanna do or pay for.
Yeah. Got it.
Can I ask a question? Sorry about
Yeah.
adding to the trustees. I just realized we don't have a setup at the race at all for doing what we did at the Hanel event. Do we want to try to do that? Collecting emails?
Well, on the to-do list.
Yeah, oh, did it say that?
There is a legacy table but we didn't man it last year.
No, we didn't.
I don't think
Right.
we didn't,
Okay.
we didn't have anything to put on it, but it's
Well,
certainly.
I can man it this year and do what I did and just add email addresses. You know, outside of, obviously, we already have the race registrants emails.
Yeah,
But like any other family that might come with them or anything like that, do you think it's worthwhile? It's, I don't think you can, it's over 18.
well, the time,
Yeah,
the time, I think the time to do it would be the lull between when we run the Little Reader Sprint and they start announcing the winners. It's a short window. But, you know, people are
Yeah.
rolling around up over here and so, you
So
know,
at the legacy table?
yeah, we need a cowbell or something. And I would be down there too, so I'd be able to help you with that.
Okay.
But I know you'll be,
I'll throw it on my spiel.
Bridget will be fine with the race, right?
You guys are both also doing the little sprinters or no? Oh, you two are.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll probably.
The
over
daughter
there.
will be
Yeah,
running.
Bridget will probably run it again.
Okay, so then we, and again, this is something we need to work on with Karen and Lisa to get that boring plaque that's out in the lobby here that nobody sees into a place of higher visibility and getting it updated and so that doesn't have to happen overnight. There was a question asked about what is in the new card holders packet. You know, people come in and sign up for a card holder. At one time, there was, do they still give out packets?
Yeah.
Do you still give out
They
packets?
put some packets together, I wanna say during COVID
Stop.
or towards the end of COVID. I think we may have some, but in terms of handing them out at the reference desk. Reference desk? No, you guys don't.
No, circulation.
Circulation has them, but a lot of times when somebody new was coming to town, they would stop, they would ask at the reference desk.
Information packet.
Yeah,
That's about it.
I'll have to check into it.
Okay, so I'll double back with Karen on that. And then, we briefly talked about whether or not to do a QR postcard mailing. I think we kind of spoke that, Leanne, didn't we come up?
Well, I think what we came up for is that the cost is pretty high for the yield in
Yeah.
most organizations, unless you have an established thing like the, I mentioned Newington, Student Assistance Fund has their established, and that's where they're mainly generating. However, Newington Education Foundation did it, and basically even with a break, without a mail, it was a break even and a lot of work.
Yeah. And I don't know, and I just think, I think the most recent one was the ambulance, and I think that's a more tug at your heart kind of appeal, you know, and so we can kind of, you know,
How much more, Anna?
that's it,
Okay.
that's it.
Any questions for Anna?
Thank you to everybody for your input. More stuff to work on.
Okay, nominations, this isn't the time of year for that, so I'll skip over that.
No, can I just say one thing about nomination?
Sure. I was trying to make up time, please.
I know, but
Go ahead, Maureen.
consider when we fill our board forms out for positions, which committees you want to be on, et cetera, please consider an officer's position if you are a corporate member.
And
I'm
if you
not
have
hiring
some-
any of us, or I'm just saying that those, just because we're in place, doesn't mean that you, if you're interested in being a president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, that you can't submit your name, because one never knows what's going to happen.
And so for new people that are here, basically the corporate officers are the officers of the board are the corporate appointed officers. The town appointed officers are not, but if you are a town appointed officer and you are interested in serving that position, please make that known because we can move things around. So not overnight, take some planning. If it's your first night, you might not be, looking to take on it.
I want to be treasurer.
No, but we have a couple of people that have been sitting in on these meetings for a little bit now, and they don't necessarily have to do it the first year, but just think about it, seriously think about it. Okay, thanks, Maureen. So I'm gonna move on to Communications Committee.
Yes, so Anna and I met with Mark Janey from Newington Life on Thursday, March 21st. I think it was like a week and a half after our last meeting. To give him information about ways to give. We talked about the race. He took a photo, which I wasn't prepared for, so just FYI. When you see it, please be kind. Anywho, no, it was a very productive meeting with him. It was a very productive meeting, so that should be April. I don't know when that comes out. Is it middle of the month?
End of the month.
Oh, end of month. Okay, so that'll be end of month. So it'll come out before the race. And then just, this is regarding, I've only really been doing communications about the race. I sent the press release to the Bear Reminder, the Herald, and Newington Life back, last month or whatever. I think there was a changeover at the Rare Reminder because I asked them to print it continuously until I let them know not to, and then it wasn't in this last week, so I emailed them again. So I'll just have to continue kind of just following up with them. I think they had like a changeover or something. It's just the editor, the email's just the editor, so I don't know who I'm sending it to. I think that's it. That's it.
Thank you.
Did you want to add anything about the meeting?
No,
Christine, did you have anything? No? Okay.
Why am I still on?
I don't know, I'll take you off. I thought you had your hand up. So are we
That's
good
why I like to stay
online?
away.
Any questions for communications? No, okay. Next, old business. As we go through, so, we've talked about the race. We know that it's Monday, the 19th. Sunday, the 19th.
You're all by yourself, Diane.
I know. Earlier at our race meeting, we talked about race categories and, there are two categories that are new this year. One is the 80+ in age and the other is the prefer not to say. And as I mentioned before, that's, through paper registration only. So, the other important part is that at our last meeting, we had talked about a non-binary category, realized how complicated that was to pull up. So we are going to do that, for our next race for 2025. But what we can see is that we're not gonna be able to figure it out in April and pull it off in May. But human nature says that we're not gonna look at it until April. So, please try to think about it, think about what's going on. And for those of us that are volunteers on the library and stuff, if we can start now with, generic terms for folks instead of, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming. If it's thank you, runners and, families and friends and sponsors or what have you, if we can just leave everything non-generic. I have been trying to practice it and failing miserably. So good luck, everybody. And I hope, you really try it. If we are encouraging runners, it should be, you're doing great, runners, not you're doing great, blondes.
I would say that.
That is not.
But just, as I said, you get what's going on. So we do have the Saturday packet pickup and we have our schedule of folks that volunteered for that, which I wrote down somewhere.
9:30 to 12 is Maureen and Chris. 11 to 1 is Fiona, and 12 to 2:30 are Neil and Anna.
Great, thank you.
And it won't rain then.
God. And hopefully not the Saturday banner hanging day. So we talked about the Saturday food prep and pickup. So Fiona's gonna confirm with Dunkin' Donuts
Yeah.
what time we pick up. We've got a Costco run to do, a Middlewoods run to do, or are they delivering? Does anybody know?
I think they're delivering, but I'm not sure.
Okay,
I'll check.
so
And we do, and we need a Stu Leonard's pickup too.
and do we have what days we're picking that stuff up?
Stu Leonard's is Friday.
This Friday?
I don't know Dunkin' Donuts yet. I haven't heard back.
So usually that's Sunday morning.
Oh, it's on Sunday morning
It's
usually?
usually on
Is it,
Sunday.
is it the one on Cedar?
They
Or
tell
the
us.
one here?
They
tell
tell
us.
us, and
Oh, it could be
sometimes it's,
either, okay.
sometimes it's, you know, 100 here, 100 there, like different places.
Oh, wow, really?
Well,
No.
it's been one look.
When we did bagels, it was
Two spots.
it was.
Well, I can handle the pickup for that then if it's Sunday morning. That's fine.
Well, I'll be coordinating with you.
That's right, Maureen's coordinating.
Oh, all right.
So we talked to
So I have
Maureen.
to find out
Figure that out.
where everything's coming from and then we'll. take
Well, I'll
it
let
from
you
there.
know when I hear back from
Yeah.
Gwen.
Okay. Banner hanging will happen on Saturday. It's gold sponsors and above. And we are hoping that they have the banners here dropped off or let us know if they need to be picked up for that Friday. We prefer them not to bring it under their arm on Sunday and expect it to be hung. Trustee head count, so we got the head count for that, sponsor list by levels, logos for shirts, I think I have those. I'll be working based on registration amounts to finalize shirt counts for our sponsors and runners. As that goes through. So that's the old business for the race. I think we've gone through that. I don't see any questions online. And the next is the Handle event, and you might notice due to the time this evening, I'm going through this rather quickly. But we nicely have the Handle event set up for September 27th. It's Lynn and Vinnie Roby. Give me an option, I'll say it wrong every time. So for September 27th, it's, again, that's another time that we're gonna be looking for trustees to help set up and clean up, because we move everything out of the center and then put it all back in. Open board positions. I'd like to thank Pam for her interest and for joining us and still being here, not running away. And we expect that. And sometimes we don't go this long, sometimes they get us out earlier. Yeah, not always, I'm not making a promise for always, but sometimes.
Every time.
Yeah. And I think are we full now? No, we have one more? There's one more open position. So we've made great strides, thank you. Thank you, Pauline, thank you everyone for putting names forward and going through with that. And then the next would be new business. Do we have any other new business on the table? Looking online? Looking out here, nothing? Nothing like mentioning the time on the clock to make us think. Public participation. Is there anybody online for public participation? No, just me, no. No one online for public participation? No one in the room for public participation? At this time, I would accept a motion for adjournment.
This is Leanne, so moved.
Every second.
You can't complain.
I know.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Right.
No, no one opposed. Thank you, everyone.
Diane, I missed who seconded. Who was it that seconded?
Anna and Christine seconded it. It's a dealer's choice.
Anna. Thank you.